The speech-to-song illusion that we just experienced has a lot of nuance and subsequent research interest. It was first really scientifically published in about 10 years ago, but if you want to learn more about it, you can go to this website. You can Google speech-to-song illusion and look more into it as well. This next illusion really goes beyond this, right? So the speech-to-song illusion here, you can see this researcher wrote an article and did subsequent research studies and even put in musical notation those pitches and the rhythms of those pitches of that phrase sometimes behave so strangely. A subsequent paper came out recently, the sound to music illusion, where we took not speech but just non-speech environmental noise. And so I want to play you a few clips of this paper here, and you can find this paper. Don't worry about having to copy this link down. Just go to Google Scholar, right? So just type in Scholar in the internet, click Google Scholar, and you can type in sound to music illusion, and you'll find it here. The name of it here, it comes up as the first article, so you can look more into that. There are subsequent studies and it's ongoing. These scientists are really interested in the sound to music and speech to song illusions. So for the sound to music illusion with non-speech sounds, let me just walk you and let you listen to a few of these. The first I want to play is a car driving by, a rally car in this race car in this example. Listen to it without repetition, think about what you hear, and then we'll repeat it. See what happens to that sound. We'll take a chunk of it and repeat it. Might have noticed that if this happened to you, you started perhaps hearing that engine or the motor. So the sounds of that car driving by might have changed in your perception somewhat. You might have heard it a little differently after each subsequent repetition. For example, you might have still heard it as a car, but maybe it sounded more like you could sing along. Maybe that melody, maybe that melody started popping out, and then kind of in your head you almost heard it as a musical melody. If this illusion really impacted you, you might have heard it as just a musical instrument, like that car engine rising and dropping in pitch was almost like a very interesting musical instrument being played in that specific way with that melody. Another one without pitch but is really powerful with rhythm is this one here. Here's the full excerpt. Right? So just water dropping, droplets. But if we repeat a segment, watch what happens. Now, if this affected you, if this illusion kind of morphed your perception, you might have felt a rhythmic effect, not necessarily a melody, but maybe you wanted to like tap your foot or tap your fingers on the table or your lap, or move your head, or just move your body to that rhythm. Right? So that rhythm is what pops out. Instead of just water dropping, it could almost be like a musical instrument being played in that specific rhythm. So again, repetition, musicalizing in a way, right? Whatever sound it is, just bringing out the characteristics of that sound that are in a way musical, right? So just highlighting the musical aspects of the sounds. Here's another one I really like, the shovel being dragged. Okay, take a part of that, particularly the last part. Now you might notice that the banging of the shovel, the dropping of it, that might sound like a musical instrument. In fact, what I think of is a Tibetan bowl. When you engage in doing yoga, for example, you might have the chime, the gong, maybe like a little gong or something, sounding. It just sounds more like a musical instrument in a way. All right, and this one is very cool. Here we have not just a shovel, like a tool, not just water dripping, not just a car, but here it's an actual, just if you're out in nature, it's wind. It's the gust of wind. You can probably imagine what this might turn into if you repeat a little bit of it. Music has a few key characteristics: pitch, or the high and low of the sound, timbre, or the actual the characteristic signature of the sound, whether it's a cello or a trumpet or someone's voice or a different person's voice, the actual quality of the tone, rhythm. And so these characteristics, what this illusion kind of does is take the sound and take whatever is part of it. Right here we have a pitch going up and down, woo, and it just makes it sound more, just kind of like underscores that aspect of it. Right? And there's a rhythm with this one as well, right? And the timbre is, of course, what sounds like wind or what might sound like a musical instrument. Two more I want to show you. This one is very cool. It is a bird, a nightingale. So here it's an actual animal, and it's actual bird song. So it kind of already is characterized as music in a way, bird song. But let's listen. So that already sounds perhaps like song, like a bird singing. But what happens if we repeat it? It might just sound even more like song, even more musical. Now, if we think about this even more, it's almost as if with a melody, right, it becomes something you might hum. That's another way of thinking about the effect of this illusion. It takes something that you're listening to and makes it something you're actually producing, right? It takes like perception of song to the production of song. If nothing else in your head, you might kind of just be thinking and almost singing, almost humming that tune in your head. Another thing that might happen is you hear the surrounding sounds around that one bird or that one whatever it is you're listening to. It's almost like you start to listen to the other sounds in that sound auditory scene, if you will. So just listen, for example, and try to listen to the other sounds around the bird. Right? You might hear like clicking and clacking and some other animal in the background. Right? The last one is a wail. This one's very, very nice. A wail song. So again, something we actually label as song. But let's actually listen to it. The first whole excerpt, the 10 seconds, sounds like whale song, but maybe not something that's immediately you're immediately able to like hum and memorize and remember and have it be something in your head, like a tune stuck in your head. So the first run through, again, still musical in a way, but we can make it even more musical. So if you could even guess what part of it I'm going to repeat, some part of it that has like a melody that you can pull out. Now I'm going to play this a few times, but notice if I pull the melody, the part that has like a very clear melody out, it's going to seem very obvious, the illusion, if it happens for you. But you can take something that's not necessarily a melody, for example, the water drops. There was no really up and down in pitch. It was just a rhythm, a rhythmic, non-pitch fluctuating sound. But I mean, listen to this whale song just kind of engrave itself into your musical palette, your mental scene of your perception of the sound. Another thing that might happen is you might almost feel like you get to know that sound better in a way. Like you might kind of feel closer to the sound, like a sense of, I hear that whale, I know who that whale is, I could identify that whale or that sound. That sound, when you repeat it, actually becomes more vivid in your mind in a way. So that's another effect of the repetition, right? Not just making it sound more musical, but making it sound more memorable. So next, I want to jump into something that's very cool. We're taking this idea of repeating a sound, repeating speech, what we did first, repeating environmental sounds, even animals like we did now. And now let's kind of combine the two. Let's take speech and a musical performance, like an instrument, an actual musical instrument, in this case a piano, and combine them on top of each other. And not just a song with lyrics and like on the radio, but someone speaking without music and having a pianist kind of overlap their voice with the tones and pitches and rhythms and timbre purposefully, and see if we can create music out of someone's non-musical speech. All right, so let's look at that video now.